Hello and welcome back to Dark Souls. I'm your host Spiro Bounceholder and this will be the 6th episode of Dark Souls. We left off last time with slaying the Belfry Gargoyles and, well, not the Belfry Gargoyles, that's actually Dark Souls 2, but the Belguardian Gargoyles, and we explored the Darkroot Gardens a bit. For today I wanted to show you guys one of the very early weapons you can acquire that will make this game horrendously easy for at least the beginning. I personally have chosen not to because I had a specific goal set in mind that I wanted to complete before going towards late game. And the particular weapon that I am going to pick up is very unsuited for late game, really, despite being so extremely powerful in the early game. So we're going back to the Hellkite Drake, and obviously I have already told you guys, it's basically the weapon that you get when destroying his tail. And we're going to destroy his tail with our little bow that we bought last episode. Really nothing spectacular, except the weapon itself, of course. Now, the reason why this weapon is really so powerful in the early game is very much because it is a dragon weapon. And dragon weapons always are very powerful. They have very high base damages. They often have special abilities that you can use that consume extra durability, but at the same time also are very, very powerful and do warrant that. So the Drake Sword, which is the one that we are going to pick up right now, is actually, it has got a special attack, and just like every other dragon weapon, it has one major flaw that is not going to be any issue during the early game of your play. And that's the fact that it has no scaling whatsoever. That means that you can have 1,000,001 strength, you can have 1,000,001 dexterity, but the weapon will still do the exact same amount of damage. And the great benefit of that, of course, is the fact that you don't need to have any high stats either. Just as long as you fulfill the requirements, you will do maximum damage with that weapon all the time in every given situation. That is what makes it really all that powerful in the early game, because you will be using it to the maximum usefulness, do maximum damage with it constantly. And this is all we're going to do. We're going to just wait for him to go back again. Still will appear again, and fire another shot. And you just repeat this a while. It's really not all that long. It might seem very tedious because you would think, oh, it's a big Drake, it takes a whole lot of health. And sure, it takes a lot of health, but the way that tails work in regards to getting cut off, it really isn't that terrible. It is, we'll probably have quite a lot of arrows left, to just put it into perspective. But the Drake Sword, it is loved amongst many. It is very, very nice to have. It only is completely useless later in the game, because despite being very powerful in the early game, it simply doesn't hold up, and the upgrade that you can do for it really doesn't make it powerful enough. So you would simply be wasting your resources in order to keep it powerful, and even then, it's not going to keep up. So it's a shame, really, because it is a very cool weapon to use. It is a very easy weapon to use. It has a cool special attack. But just keep in mind, you'll be only using it in the early game. We might actually use it as a sidearm. Because, well, why the hell not? At the moment we haven't got the Uchikatana yet. We haven't got the Balder Swag Sword. So to use the Drake Sword as a secondary weapon is probably not all that bad of an idea. So it is never really set in stone for when his tail finally pops. Some people have it like with the first 3 shots already. Some people take oh, oops, a whole bunch of shots, like something like 20 shots before the tail finally pops off. But eventually it will, and you will be instantly rewarded with that with the Drake sword. And apart from being a bit heavy, it really has few downsides in the early game. I hope it won't take too long, because I don't want to have to speed this up. Would be a waste of good commentary. Nope. It takes a lot longer than expected. Last time I did this, it only took about 10 shots before it finally came off. This time around, he seems to be a lot more eager to keep going. So, you might be wondering what the next boss is going to be, and what our next step in the game will be. Well, obviously, as the Crestfallen Soldier or the Crestfallen Knight already told us, there are 2 bells of awakening, and we need to ring both of them. Ah, there we go. The Drake sword. Wonder if we can wield it. No, we need 16 strength, so we need a bit more strength for it. 2 points more. But that's alright, actually. We probably already have the required amount of souls if we use a few of those item souls that we collected. So we just go on down. Soul of a Proud Knight. We actually have 4 of them. Probably will need to use a few. Might be enough. Nope, it's not going to be enough, but we will have enough in general. So that's rather nice. The advantage, of course, of a weapon not scaling as well is the fact that you don't need to worry about going in and two-handing the sword. Because there will be a bonus damage, don't get me wrong, there is actually still a bonus damage. Even a weapon that doesn't scale with strength at all gets a small bonus when you two-hand it, for obvious reasons. But the bonus is significantly less. So generally you don't need to worry about it. Just go ahead, use it in one hand. It's actually too heavy. But I can still show it off. There we go. And we get some bonus stats from it as well. So I wonder by how much we are too heavy. Only by a very, very slight amount, really. So what could we do to make it lighter? Well, actually, we still have enough souls. It might actually be a good idea to simply level up and leave it at that. That way we can be sure as well that we're nice up to speed with all the levels, that the enemies will be easy enough to fight. Now in Dark Souls 2 it's a little bit easier to use these souls. You can just go to your item menu and say how many you want to use in one go. But in Dark Souls 1 you still have to go through them one by one. So if we upgrade our endurance, yeah, that should be enough. That should actually be exactly enough. Yep, we can roll again. So that's rather nice. Now, if you one-hand the strong attack, nothing special is going to happen. But I will show you guys what happens when you two-hand it and use the strong attack. Because that triggers the special attack. In general, it's also a weapon that does very high poise damage. But here you go, this is the special attack. A very nice shockwave, it knocks people off the ground. It does rather nice damage, not really all that impressive, but especially early game it is rather nice. And I am running back now because I do want to repair it right away. Because you can see it already 69 repair that it requires. It actually takes up 30 of durability per time you use the special attack. Which means you basically have about 10 shots before you really want to stop using it. Because you only have 60 durability left, so in total you could act to the T fire off 12 shots with it. But if you use it for normal combat, it will last a lot longer, so always be aware. Using that special attack can be very useful, and don't feel constrained when you have the perfect opportunity to use it. But always keep in mind and always think ahead. Do you really need it? Do you really want it? Is it actually going to matter? Because unless there is actually a significant benefit to it, it might be better to simply use normal attacks. And the Drake Sword is actually a very nice weapon to use as a secondary, because the first weapon we use obviously is the halberd. The halberd is, or the scythe, and the scythe is a halberd class. It has a nice long range. It is great for area combat, and in general it will do well, but there will be situations, especially when an enemy gets up very close to you, when you would rather just have something like the Drake Sword to knock him out. And in general, it's just a very nice sword to look at. It's got a very neat shape to it, if you ask me. Perhaps not all that viable in real life, but I do think it looks very, very ornate. And again, it's quite easy to use. If you two-hand a weapon, it also does a lot more poise damage. Also something to keep in mind whenever you fight an enemy with shields, or someone you want to stagger, someone you want to stun lock. Always keep in mind that two-handing a weapon will do more poise damage. Yeah, we will follow this path because we will go to a new area with the Drake Sword. Actually, it will come in handy, the Drake Sword, in that new area, because we will be fighting with much faster and much more maneuverable enemies. And the scythe itself is alright speed-wise, but in general it might be a lot nicer to use something like the Drake Sword, which use a slashing attack, rather than having to rely on the strong attack of the scythe, which also is probably much too big. A great risk of hitting other objects that you don't want to hit, and that again will cause you to be staggered. So for close combat, try to always use a short weapon, a weapon that has a smaller range, and for long range combat and enemies that circle around you, that have space to move around, then you can use a longer range weapon, because a longer range weapon will generally yield an advantage in such a situation. And there we are. So we have these doggies. quite annoying indeed. Well, actually, that time the site was more beneficial. But it was mostly because it was a very narrow, exceptionally narrow, and the site was exactly forward. You simply have to
anybody, help me. Unlock the
find
door.
out.
Damn, I'm finished. How did this ever happen?
Oh boy. Well, we actually picked up that key from that undead guy that sold us the key.
Brilliant. You opened the door for me. Thank you. I'm saved. I thought I might never escape. I am Griggs of Vinheim, a sorcerer of the school. I am much obliged for your assistance. Thanks to you, I may now resume my travels.
So this guy is quite useful, especially if you want to go a mage class.
Oh, hello.
He will sell you
Besides, I have an
basic
important
sorceries back at Firelink Shrine. And in here you can also get the Sorcerer's Set and the Sorcerer's Catalyst. So even if you want to go use sorcery later on, you can just wait until you get the first Catalyst over there. Might save you having to buy one again, save souls, save time. Now these guys are very annoying. Don't underestimate them ever, those torch bearers. Because you might think that a broken sword is better. Well, no, it isn't. These torch guys, the way they come at you is horrendous. You don't want to deal with them. You really don't. Always be aware of them. Always be sure to block their attacks. Because if you give them an opening, they will burn you, and they will burn you a lot. And you don't want to be burned in Dark Souls. Alright. Now there are two traps waiting here. Both are pretty much identical, and you can perhaps already see it if you look underneath that door. So doors will swing open in just a moment. There we go. Then we run back. Because otherwise we will be surrounded. There we go. There we go. We actually have plenty of space here, so using the site is still beneficial. Mailbreaker, it's actually classified as a thrusting sword, I believe. Being a very, very short ranged one. Yeah. Basically it's a thrusting dagger, more like. But it does do a lot of critical damage, which means for backstabs and parry strikes, it does a lot of damage. It is not very much favored, but it is not something we underestimated either. So here's a more nice moment to use the special attack. There we go. Because the range of that special attack is again greater than... oh dear. Than the range of the scythe even. And it does not get blocked by shields or anything. So using that can actually be much more powerful than using the scythe in certain situations. And here we have a very, very trollish situation. Always be aware of such things, always carefully look around the corner before passing beyond those. Because in Dark Souls people like to surround you. And you don't want to be surrounded in Dark Souls. Your shield can be the best in the game. You can have the highest speed of rolling. But if you are stuck and surrounded by enemies, you're not going to escape.
You still have your senses about you. And why don't you borrow some of my noise? I need your soul.
She sounds very creepy, but she is actually one of the most pleasant NPCs around. She sells something that you really want, and that's purging stones. Because I am somewhat confident that I will not get cursed. But if you start off, be sure to at least always have one of these in your back pocket, because you will need it. The purging stone will allow you to break a curse that is placed upon you, and a curse can actually make sure that you have only 1/8 of your health. So that's not half. That's not half of half. That's really just a tiny sliver of health left. And she sells throwing knives with poison. And she sells blooming purple moss clump, which again is very useful, especially in Blighttown. Along with some other very useful items indeed. For consumables, she is one of my favorite merchants. Also because she sells transient curse, which you will need later. In general, you want to do business with her. So I, for example, will go and buy 20 poison throwing knives. Because you will be surprised how useful these can be to cheese enemies that would otherwise cause you a lot of trouble. And probably a moss clump as well, just to make sure. Blooming. Now, what's the difference between the normal and the blooming? Well, it basically already says it. The first one reduces poison buildup and cures poison. The other one reduces poison and toxin buildup and restores that status. Now, toxin and poison are basically exactly the same thing, only the difference is the severity. And a normal moss clump won't save you when you're toxin. It will only save you if you're normal poisoned, which you also need very much, but if you get toxin, you are going to be draining health fast. You will be draining health fast, and you will not be able to recover that in just a short moment of time. It will really not be a pleasant experience. Now, before I go and fight the boss that oops, was behind that fog gate that that you guys probably already saw, I want to show you guys another noob weapon, so to speak. And that one is also back at the catacombs. Now, this one you can actually get very easily, very early on. Literally, you just start the game, you have 0 upgrades, you have got your default equipment, and you can go and get that sword. You can go and get that weapon. And you will not be able to wield it, but you will have it, and the moment you reach the requirements, it will be more useful and more powerful even than the Drake sword. And the Drake sword, you've already seen that thing one hits basically everything in the normal undead burg, which when just starting off is truly massively powerful. Here we go, repaired everything. We will probably want to use Astor's straight sword instead, just to be safe, because there probably are still necromancers around. Oh. Yes, that's because we ranked the first Bell of Awakening. Because that's actually the guy that we are awakening. But anyway, yeah, in the catacombs there is a sword that you can get simply by joining the Undead Covenant. You might actually want to stay in that covenant because it can be very fun for PvP. But in general, the sword, the Gravelord sword, is very powerful, very beautiful, I would say as well. Of course, beautiful is rather subjective. It's more like, how should I say, appropriate for the team. It really, if you look at it, it screams its name basically. It screams Gravelord sword simply by looking at it. And it is in fact also almost identical to the weapon that Nito uses. And Nito you might remember from the intro sequence of Dark Souls as being the Lord of Death in Dark Souls. I like Nito, I like him a lot. I in general like the whole catacombs and the whole scene and everything here. Apart from it being quite a drag to get through the first time around. But once you've been through it one time, your life will be a lot easier. And if you want to go on an easy train, on an easy run, be sure to grab a Gravelord sword, be sure to grab a Drake sword, because you will have two weapons that will basically carry you through past both Bells of Awakening if you do it right. And only after that you really have to start worrying about making the more normal type weapons to suit your needs. Because that's actually somewhat ironic, isn't it? You would think that the special weapons, the weapons that are rare, that are unique, are actually the most powerful in Dark Souls. That's actually not really true. The most powerful weapons in Dark Souls are generally the ones that you create yourself from the really mundane. I mean, sure, it's a great sight, but it's still just that. It's just a great sight. It is a tool farmers use, really. And this is the strongest weapon in the game. And how does that correlate? How does that make sense? Well, of course, when you just get it, of course it's not the strongest weapon in the game. Of course it's going to be actually quite horrendous by comparison. Oops! Well, that shows that one. But yeah, it's all about making your own weapon in that regard. You can find very cool weapons that are unique and it will carry you for a long time, but the weapons that will inevitably be your greatest tool are not the ones that you acquire, but the ones that you make, so to speak. So we'll have to go through this thingy again, but we can take a few shortcuts luckily, because we already ran through it up for a bit. There we go. That was actually quite close, I was afraid he would hit me. But oh well, no worries. So we can just jump down here. That's a shortcut right there. Because if we jump down there, we again go towards where we grab the scythe. So instead we'll go through this far gate. There's nothing on the other side, just more catacombs. So don't be afraid to step through it. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. Now that effect that you just saw there, I have been ignoring that, I believe. I don't think I've explained it yet. I might have very briefly. But what actually happens is, I explained kindling to you. I explained that it basically means that somebody upgraded a bonfire, so to speak. And everybody who's in the area, in other worlds and other games, will get one extra Estus charge because someone did that. So by kindling bonfires, not only are you just helping yourself by making that specific area a bit easier to get through, but also are you helping your fellow gamers, your fellow Dark Souls players. Now through here is a secret, which we actually should do it. We actually should go through there, but I really don't like to because it's quite an annoyance. I'll heal up. Grab a shield. Now for starters, you can see here we have a couple of skeletons that are shooting arrows at us, which for starters isn't very nice. It isn't very pleasant. And we got lucky here with not falling off. Down here there are more skeletons. Oh dear. Oh dear, this is not a situation we want to be in. uh, no, I do not like this. I do not like this. There we go. Okay, that's one. That's one. We use a straight sword again. Be sure to use it, because otherwise they just get up again, and the only way you're gonna beat them is if you sprint past them and get the necromancer. Actually, the guy that we are specifically after right now. Because otherwise there's not much reason to go here. There is one item that you will want to pick up for later, but apart from the necromancer and apart from that item, there's no reason to come here. Well, maybe one actually. Not sure if I recall that correctly. But yeah, it's just a very nasty place. It is such a nasty place. And that little mark there, that's actually placed by the developers. It's always there. It screams treasure. Well, talk about baiting your players. Ow, I forgot that he fall down. Now he will also reanimate if you don't beat him with a straight sword or a divine weapon. So be sure to again fight him with a divine weapon. There we go. Here's the item. It's a ring. Dark Moon Science ring. And then we move through here. We're not interested in that area. But here we again have a necromancer. Oh dear. Well, luckily healing was in time. But the area is so small, tight. It's really an inconvenience to fight here. But yeah, you can imagine having to sprint through this area, not being able to kill anything, being forced to simply ignore everyone and just kill that one necromancer in time. Well, it's obviously a lot easier said than done. All right. No, I wanted to use you instead. There we go. Does a bit more damage. And he dropped. He dropped the skull lantern. Yes, that's something I'm very glad about. We can use that later on, and it allows us to more easily tread through a specific area that would otherwise be absolutely nightmarish. Here we have a spell, Tranquil Walk of Peace. And here, oh dear, I forgot, I did not clear this area. But at least we can deal with those guys, not all too problematic. There we go, phew. Oh, there we go. Drink an Estes. And we walk over here. Might look like we're walking back again, but it's simply we use the shortcut again. So now we got rid of that necromancer, and that is significantly useful. That I really hate having to go through this area without defeating him. You might be thinking like, how the heck am I supposed to do this? How the heck am I supposed to play through here as a new player and get this weapon when you have to be so deep in the catacombs? Well, I jumped from one bridge to another, and oh, these actually don't die. And that was a massive shortcut. But you can actually jump down to that little ledge over there in one go. So all you need to do is defeat the first necromancer, which can be done as a new player. It's not easy, but it is by far the easiest necromancer to get to and by far the easiest one to defeat. Once you do that, you can enter the catacombs and you can just jump down from the first ledge to this to hit down below there. And you can basically jump over onto this thingy here. If you look up, you can actually see. Oh dear! Be careful with those things. You can jump from the first ledge to the bridge to this ledge, and you can just go and get the sword. Now, getting the sword itself again isn't the easiest thing. It used to be a lot easier, but I believe after some patches or something, after Dark Souls, after since the upgrade from Windows Live to Steam, a change has been made to it. Now you see this guy, it's not activated yet, he doesn't attack us yet, he's completely immobile. But see what's lying behind him? There's an item over there. Or actually 3 of them. And we need those, because this coffin is special. And this coffin will only work, you can get in it, but it will only work if you got the item that's behind him. So we will need to sprint past him. And he will very eagerly activate. There we go. Eye of the Dead. Now I will risk it and simply get into the coffin and hope that he does not attack me before the coffin activates. Now he seems to not be very eager to attack me. We simply lie here in the coffin, just wait, do nothing. And pray that if you want to do this in one go, that he does not attack you. Because he's very menacing. And he's coming very close. And he can hit you while you're in the coffin. But it does not seem like he's attacking us. And there we go, now it triggers. So this wouldn't happen unless you have those Eye of the Dead. And you're just lying here, minding your own business, nothing special. And suddenly, this happens. Very scary. Then the coffin is opened again. And you are brought to a specific place where you come back later, because even if you form a covenant with this guy, even if you have, even if you join Nito, which is basically what we're going to do here, you will still have to kill him, eventually. So, not sure where he was. Over here. One massive coffin. One massive coffin, indeed. And that's Nito right there. You can see his sword. You can see, well, him being a massive mess of skeletons and stuff. But you can sit down here and we can enter his covenant. And we join his covenant. And once we do that, we are awarded with the Gravelord's Sword. And the Gravelord's Sword Dance. Which, in my opinion, isn't all that great. But it is very cool to see nonetheless. There we go. If you want to progress in this covenant, you have to collect Eyes of the Dead. And you can farm those in the game offline. As well as get them by PvP combat online. Which is basically the reason why this covenant is branded a PvP oriented one. But again, just like the other ones, even if you play it without friends, even if you are completely alone in the entire game, even if you've never heard of the concept of internet, which is quite surprising that you would be watching this video then, but you could still simply go and complete this. You could still rank up to the highest tier in his covenant. Now let's take a look at the sword, alright? Here we are. The Gravelord Sword. It does more damage than the Drake Sword. It has scaling. It causes toxin. It looks like it does poison damage, but that is actually toxin damage. Much more severe if it actually triggers. It has no special ability. It has a weight of 10, which is quite significant. It is a curved greatsword, and it has a thrust damage, which is very unique to it. Its requirements are a bit steep, being 24 for strength, but boy is this weapon nice. It is truly a joy to use it. And I might actually go and upgrade my strength just to be able to do that, but just look at it. Just look at it. It's... Oh, we can actually two-hand it. It's not very fast. It's still a great sword. It is a curved great sword, but it has this beautiful thrust attack. It is indeed. If you can wield it, it is truly a magnificent weapon to start the game off with. Even better than the Black Knight sword, at least at the start. So we had, what did we had the Sarno? We had oh right, the Drake sword. There we go. Now there's no way to get out of here. We can't go back into the coffin and be like, oh well, we're going back. No, that's not going to happen. Regrettably, you have to homeward bone out of there. But to get that kind of sword and that miracle simply in exchange for a single homeward bone and a bit of patience, that's not a bad deal if you ask me. Now we can, just for fun, equip the Gravelord Sword Dance. Now it says 40, but it's actually not 40 charges. It simply means you have 40 swords. It might sound a bit strange until I use it. I'll show you. These guys summon. We use the miracle. There we go. That's good damage. A lot of poise damage. But as you can see, it's not ideal. It's not the strongest weapon to use. And you only can fire it twice. Generally, you can only fire it twice. There are exceptions when you would still have a few left. But generally, just 2 shots and you're done. Now, I want to go and switch switch the miracle out first actually. And then we'll go and see if we can do something about the next boss, which is the Capra demon. So what we do is we do magic, we go to heal, and we go. Tranquil Walk of Peace, I believe that silences your movement, which can be very nice if you want to sneak up on people. Not sure if that's accurate. I actually never used that miracle. But you can look it all up yourself on the wiki or anything like that. If you truly are like, I don't like his build, I want to try something else, well, that's completely fine. Just go online, look up what you need, look up what you want, and go and hunt those things down, because of course you can't just go and find out those things yourself. And if you truly want to experience Dark Souls at its purest, that's probably what you want to do. But I never proclaim myself to be a good Dark Souls player. I simply proclaim myself as a player who very much loves the game and wants to see every little bit it has to offer me. So if you're like me in that respect, just go look up the wiki, find what you want to use, find what kind of weapons you want to wield, what kind of miracles you want to use, what kind of spells you want to use. Have fun in Dark Souls. Well, for as far as you can keep your cool, that is, of course. Don't worry. Eventually you get used to it, just like me. And death will not be all that interesting anymore. In fact, There have been points when I would be like, that I would actually want to die because I want to get out of some place, uh, or I would be simply completely blindsided and completely raped by the game. Well, that would be completely alright, because now you know that you will be raped when you get in that area and you can prepare for it for next time. And as long as your bloodstain is there, everything's alright. You just walk back over up there and it's like nothing ever happened. The only real thing is just if you lose your bloodstain. If you die when you have not recovered the bloodstain you needed to. That's when you lose all your humanity, all your current souls. Because those were in the bloodstain and that bloodstain is overridden with your new one. So you are drained dry. Nothing left. And that's horrible. That's truly something that feels vile. But basically all it says is, the game simply says, don't make the same mistake twice. As long as you don't make the same mistake twice in this game, you will never have to worry about dying, because dying is simply a part of it. And the Capra demon I am not eager to fight. Oh, it's actually lucky that the bonfire still works. Probably after the Capra demon it won't be, because Night Lord Shrek is going to kill our Firekeeper, as I explained last time. But yeah. The Capra demon is like the Taurus demon that we fought. Not a boss that is really a boss. It is more like it's a tough enemy and it's put in the game like a boss, but really it is just an enemy you will find and fight later like any normal enemy. Now, that might sound like, oh well, then he shouldn't be all that big of a deal. Taurus demon wasn't all that big of a deal either. Well, the first time you fight the Taurus demon is going to be quite difficult. And the Capra demon is often said to be one of the hardest boss fights in this game. And there is a specific reason for it, because it's not one of the hardest boss fights in respect that the Capra demon is going to kill you on one hit, or it's going to be so fast that you can't keep up with him. Or he's just going to use such strange move patterns that you can't find out what you truly need to do against him. That's not what's going to be the issue here. Fighting Capra demon itself is actually not all that hard, especially if you fought the other demons in quote unquote the underworld already. But he's got some pets with him. Remember those dogs that came chasing after us? I believe there's 2 or 3 of them in the boss fight itself. Now talk about the dick move. You have a fast enemy against you that does a lot of damage. That is a boss fight basically. And he has 2 dogs that are faster even than the boss itself, that will constantly try and get to you. Yeah, you're not going to be happy. I know I won't be. I've died to the Capra demon more times than I would like to count. So, pardon me if I screw it up the first time. But he is simply that big of a dick. I mean, these dogs are not fun to play with. We have to be careful and make sure that we are completely ready. I might actually consider doing what I advise you guys. Use a green blossom. Use 1 green blossom before you start the fight. And gold pine resin, that might actually be a good idea as well. But then I want to do it on my scythe. So what we're gonna do is gonna use green blossom. We are going to use gold pine resin. And we're going to go in. Here we are. Capra demon does a lot of stamina damage against you. And that's why I wanted There we go. To have that green blossom, I was able to take out the wolf, or the dog, so I probably can take him out now. Can't get greedy though. Need to be careful. Alright, so he does a strong attack. Can heal up for a moment. Right, watch his movements, and strike and roll away. Does a combo attack. Do a strong... Oh dear, I missed. Now the extra range and reach that the site offers is quite useful indeed against the Capra demon. Because you have slightly greater range than him even. And that makes it doable. There we go. So if you have trouble with him, get a green blossom and use that. And we actually got a little reward for it as well. The great machete. Basically, one of those two sword axes that he used. It's not the best kind of weapon, but it's nice to have nonetheless. It's quite intimidating. I'll show you. There you go. It's pretty big. It's pretty heavy. We can't use it. But yeah. This thingy is going to wreck your day if you see someone wielding them. But if someone wields them in PvP against you, what you need to do then is to make sure that that you make use of the great slow attacks that he uses. They're relatively easy to see, they're relatively easy to dodge, but if you get hit with them, you will be hit for more damage than you will have ever lost to most bosses probably. PvP is always harder than a normal boss fight. Except if it's truly a new player that is very inexperienced. I will go over to the next bonfire and then we'll end the episode. There we go. And we can get to show her off as well. Her. Yes, that's that big guy over there. That's a she. I know it's really strange. It's absolutely strange, but that's a woman. And the only way you can find out is if you get the sack that she wears over her head. And look at the description of it, which is not too hard. I'm not sure where she ran off to though, because she saw me and I actually have never had oh dear before. Uses a big cleaver, works a bit similar to there you go, that was a blood loss attack. She works a bit similar to what you call it, the great skeletons. Not too hard. But she can screw you over if you come unprepared, and especially something like with great range, the great scythe, spears, halberds. Those weapons work well against her. In general, having a good long range with your weapon is always a desirable trait. Well, always, it's not literally always. There are moments when you really want a short weapon, but generally a long range weapon is quite nice to have. There you go. Come on, doggy. Now, this is a really shitty situation because you're in water, you're very immobile. You are really completely reliant on your shield when moving through this area. You can still roll, but it's you can't sprint through it, you can't normal run through it. It's just a massive inconvenient area.
Yes, you. Here, over here. You must help me.
There we have another friend.
Thank you. I would have been at supper without you.
Her
Feeling
supper.
alive. I shudder to think. Thank you. Thank you dearly. I am Laurentius. Or the Great Swamp. I will not forget my debt to you.
Now, he's a pyromancer.
Oh, hello there. I'm fine.
And pyromancy is really something unique. Because to cast miracles you need faith. To cast spells you need intelligence. So what do you need for casting pyromancy? Well, actually you need nothing. The only thing you need is to make sure that your pyromancy flame itself is upgraded. And the dexterity, oh dear, she is already staying there. The dexterity you have determines how quickly you will be able to fire those attacks. But yeah. The pyromancies are a very interesting tool because of that, because everyone can use it. Everyone can use it always in their kit in some place at some time. If you enjoy using magic attacks, if you enjoy using longer ranged weapons, you can always go and grab a pyromancy flame and use it. Because the only thing you really need to have in regards of stats to use it is attunement. Because you need to have attunement slots to put in your pyromancies. Here's a slug over there. Wanted to fall it down. I need a fire weapon. I need a fire weapon. Well, no choice I guess. Come on buddy. Fall down. Fall down. There you go. Oh dear. Now these things are very harmless mostly. When they hang off the ceiling, be sure to be careful because they will drop on your head and do a decent amount of damage. But when on the ground they are very slow, very sluggish. And the only annoying factor about them is that they're also very tanky. But other than that, don't worry. Now here's a whole bunch of them, all hanging off the ceiling. We can simply use our scythe to poke them down. But they have one weakness that will completely penetrate their strength, their defenses, and that is to use a fire weapon. And you might be like, well, why should I bother him? I mean, if they only appear in this area, then why should I bother with making a specific fire weapon for them? Well, that's true. You don't really need it for that. But they do have a specific items they drop that you might want to use, that you might want to have. Because these guys drop Titanite, not shards, but yes, large Titanite shards. Not the normal ones, the large ones. And there's a significant difference between them, because the normal Titanite shards allow you to go to +5, the large Titanite shards allow you to go to +10. So that is a significant increase to our power. So you might be interested in farming these guys, because you still need, I believe it is 9 large Titanite shards before you can get a weapon from level 5 to level 10. So farming these can actually be quite, can actually be in your interest. There we go, open this door. And we have a bonfire here. So if you want to farm them, this is a great area to do it. Come back to this bonfire, start farming them. Just be sure that you have a fire weapon. And you should be alright. Anyway, this has been it for this episode. I've been Spirit Balanceholder. This was the 6th episode of Dark Souls. I wish you all a very nice day.